Welcome back to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. We are on episode 28. That's crazy. We're almost to episode 30, Daniel. What the heck?
Dude, that feels actually weird.
I know. Well, I'm your host of this episode, Tristan Grider. Or wait, I'm not Tristan, am I? Where's Tristan? Oh wait, he's in Las Vegas.
Where is he, bro?
He's living his best life right now. That's what he's doing.
He's on a work trip.
Yeah, he's on work trip. But yeah, he's living his best life right now. So but we actually had two very special guests filling in. So basically our media dad and media brother, Luke Edwards and Tony Donahue, are filling in for us. They're also the hosts of their own show, the IndyCar show. They're also a part of Burnout Sports. So yeah. So how you guys doing today?
Good. Hey, thanks for having us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, doing swell. I'm celebrating my first episode with two Trulies, so it's about to get a little weird.
Yes, sir.
Two Trulies for two guest hosts.
Yes, sir. We like that. We like that. So, Daniel, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. We had a pretty solid weekend of racing, I would say.
Okay.
Pretty good races.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any bad races.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
It just felt like Loudon took forever, but so
Surprisingly.
yeah.
It's NASCAR for you.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
even Loudon is like the shortest cup race, typically.
That's true. That's true. But
At least for like ovals.
yeah. But no. So
but Loudon and Pocono and Michigan always just get so boring. It's literally, I think those are the three races that made Richard Petty say, "Yeah, I love NASCAR. I could nap, go out and mow the grass, come back in, catch the last 20 laps."
I'm pretty sure it's every NASCAR fan's motto in my opinion, so but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I almost fell asleep watching Loudon, even though there was a lot of shit that happened. So, but yeah, I don't know. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about in this week's episode. We got a bunch of predictions coming up. We're gonna talk about Loudon and Toronto because those races were very, very good. And yeah, so let's go ahead. There's not going to be any transitions this week because we're going to be on a 4 screen since we got 4 of us. So we're just going to go ahead, jump right in to Motorsport Media. And you want to do NASCAR news, Daniel?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. We had a decent bit of NASCAR news. Nothing too crazy, I would say, except for the first big thing, which was Tyler Reddick signing with 2311. Now, this literally came out the day after we recorded our episode last week, and we were really disappointed we didn't get to talk about it because it was what we thought was going to be the biggest motorsports news of the week. It wasn't even the biggest motorsports news of the next 2 days. So we'll get into that in a second. But Tyler Reddick has signed on for 2311 Racing, not for the end of this year, not for next year, but in 2024. So this ticked off Richard Childress Racing. They had a whole statement basically saying that, you know, this couldn't come at a worse time, which a lot of people were kind of pointing out was kind of petty. Whether what side of like this disagreement you're on, it felt kind of out of place. So it's kind of being speculated whether they're going to buy out his contract, if they're maybe going to sit him for next season. It's a really interesting situation. And especially with some of the moves coming out now, it's going to be a really interesting spot for RCR to figure out what they want to do for next year. If they want to just get rid of Reddick and try to have like a full reset for the most part.
Yeah.
But we don't really know what's going on with that quite yet.
Yeah.
For the 42 car, Ty Dillon has said that he is not returning to Petty GMS Racing next year. From the looks of it, it sounds like it's more of a Petty GMS agreement than a Ty Dillon agreement. He seemed frustrated with the decision, but obviously Ty Dillon's a relatively recognizable name just because of the Dillon name. Whether or not you think he's a great driver or not, there's a good shot he's going to end up in a car next year. Could it be the 8 car at RCR? Who knows? I think people are kind of expecting a 2 Dillon car RCR lineup at least in 2024.
That'd be crazy.
Which would be a little weird.
That'd be crazy.
But
it wouldn't surprise me, though. It wouldn't surprise me. Although, I know
Yeah.
Ty Dillon doesn't necessarily want to follow, like, the steps of, like, his grandfather or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, that's kind of been his whole thing.
He can't find another ride, and that's the only offer.
I mean, yeah, but...
I think the problem with Ty Dillon has been, you know, you see all the results that his brother Austin has had, and there's always going to be that comparison. Yeah, there is a ride open at Richard Childress Racing, but It depends on what kind of sponsorship money I think he brings too. It seems like that Black Rifle Coffee has been kind of tied to him. I kind of thought going into this season that Ty Dillon might be able to do some things. Petty really hasn't been a great team. They're almost, for lack of a better term, very similar to what AJ Foyt Racing is in the IndyCar series, right? You're always going to have that name. You're always going to have some sponsorship tied to the fact that you're running for the greatest of all time or one of the greatest of all time. But Ty Dillon, he really hasn't done much in his Cup career. He's had many chances. I like Ty Dillon personally. I could also see him maybe forming another friendship with Dale Jr., maybe going and running over there in the Xfinity series, because I think that, honestly, Ty Dillon could go run Xfinity for the next 4 or 5 years, kind of go the Justin Allgaier route, right? Like, Allgaier got his one chance with Penske, didn't really do much, and has made a really good living and a really good career winning races in the Xfinity series. Ty's had his chances, right? Like, you've had your chances. Yeah, you won truck races, you won Xfinity races, but you just haven't really done much when it comes to the Cup Series. So I like Ty Dillon. I'm going to go buy myself one of those Gain T-shirts next week when NASCAR comes to town, because they'll probably be $5 on clearance. But I mean, how many opportunities do you need, right? You get plenty of opportunities. So there's nothing wrong with going back to Xfinity. We've seen a lot of drivers that have made a career out of that after for lack of a better term, failing in NASCAR. So we could see that as well. I think he can contend for an Xfinity championship.
Yeah, we've seen AJ Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier, as you said. I mean, Matt Crafton's been in the truck series his whole career, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, those are 3 big ones, in my opinion, that we've seen always kind of be in the lower series.
The key, though, like Crafton, I mean, like Tony alluded to, too, I mean, that's sponsor. You got to find your ride or die sponsor if you're going to be. And I think trucks almost has more of a niche for making a career out of it. Like Dinger, kind of races, and for a while he was kind of like the bushwhacker. I think trucks is more unique. So if you're gonna try to make a name for yourself, trucks is like separate. You can almost kind of be like a pro truck driver, whereas everyone's always going to look at the Xfinity series as, okay, are you going to make it to Cup or not? And then you even see AJ Allmendinger finally try to go over to Cup, and they're starting to do better. But I think one of the big surprises too with RCR for me is I saw all the Fords and Toyotas start struggling this year, and it became, I mean, look at the top, like Truex, the only Toyota in the top 5 in the championship. I thought that the door was going to open more for RCR. It just looked like they were kind of knocking on the door. It looked like Austin Dillon. It looked like Reddick. They were going to have more wins, frankly, than they do. I mean, I know Reddick got a breakthrough this year, but we were kind of waiting on that last year. Yeah. And it took over half the season for him to get his first win, I think, past the halfway point.
And he was close plenty of times. He was close plenty of times.
It was a string of bad luck.
Yeah.
A lot of bad luck.
Because he should have won earlier this year at Bristol Dirt, in my opinion. So, but
don't remind me. Don't remind me, Jay.
that was a.
Yeah, but
I'll ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys this, because you guys follow NASCAR a little bit more closely than I do. With the new cars and different tracks this year, has that been the result of, how many different winners there's been? We could see, 16 different winners of the first 26 races. I mean, we know Blaney's going to knock through a win. Harvick's probably going to steal a win here to get into the playoffs. But when you've got the Ross Chastains of the world, and now Reddick winning a race, Chase Briscoe, I believe, has a race win this year. These guys that you maybe normally wouldn't consider. Is that a mix of these new tracks kind of evening out the competition, or is it simply the fact that you have these new cars that we see that almost look like they're futuristic?
I feel like you want to go ahead, Daniel?
Oh yeah. I feel like it's kind of a mixture, because the new car leveled out the playing field as a whole. There's a lot of teams, a lot of drivers that had been solid, maybe decent, that have been performing way better this year. Now, Trackhouse Racing taking that next step. Yes, they purchased Ganassi and kind of merged 2 teams into one, so that's probably a part of it. But with the new car, obviously, it's going to help out. And even going back to Petty GMS, we're talking about Ty Dillon not running that well. He's in the top 30, but he's not running well. But then you look at his teammate, Eric Jones, he's still theoretically in the playoff hunt. He's top 20. And you only have two spots left for winners. And there's how many races left?
not a lot. There's like
Yeah,
6.
not
I
a lot,
think,
but
maybe
just
6.
enough that, technically speaking, we could get more than just 2 new winners this season. Yeah. And you're starting to notice how level this playing field is starting to get with the new car and the new tracks, because getting to that side of the things, I've said this for the past few weeks. I think road courses in NASCAR have become the new super speedways, where you used to just have, the 4 super speedway races that are 4 wildcard races. Now adding 5 or 6 road courses, you now have 10 potential wildcard races.
Not forget, there's 2 more new two more new super speedway races with Atlanta too.
That too.
So
well,
super
the playing
speedway.
Field, it's super speedway.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
It races like an old school super speedway.
Yeah. What'd you say?
It's not restrictor plate, is it?
No, it's restricted. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's banked like a super speedway. It's paved like a super speedway. They just don't officially call it Atlanta Super Speedway.
Because it's not the length of a super speedway, I guess. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's an honorary super speedway, and we get 2 of those races before the playoffs.
Yeah.
It counts in my book.
I'll be honest. NASCAR is kind of gimmicky, but it was good.
Yeah.
Speaking of gimmicky, let me ask you guys this, and I think it's in the rumor mill. It's been talked about whether it's next year or 2 years from now. What do you think about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway possibly having 2 cup dates? They're going to announce more than likely an IMSA race. Now, can NASCAR run that same weekend with IMSA? Maybe even IndyCar. That'd probably be a little bit too much for one race weekend. But then, at some point in the season, either come back or return and run the oval again. I think, obviously, when you look at it right now, the only oval race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the Indianapolis 500. So could we see the Brickyard 400, quote-unquote, come back while still keeping that road course event at some point? Because I think if you could do it right, then you have, IndyCar. I don't think they're going to leave the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in that second race, but I could see them wanting that to be the finale. Once,
True.
Things are talked about Laguna and everything's right here. You could have the banquet here and all that good stuff.
True.
But I would love to see an IMSA NASCAR weekend here, late summer, early fall. But on top of that, I think it'd be really cool if you had a return to the oval as far as the Cup Boys and even Xfinity, and then maybe run ARCA and to trucks out at IRP, which we're going to see next Friday as well. So your guys' thoughts on maybe 2 possible Brickyard weekends here in the near future?
So me personally, I would love to see 2 dates, but I think it depends on the turnout for this year's doubleheader weekend for IndyCar NASCAR. I think it just kind of depends on that to see if there may be 2 dates. I believe if they do anything, they go back to 1 and they go back to the oval. That's my opinion on it. So. What you got to say, Daniel?
This isn't what I think will happen. What I want to happen, do the Brickyard in the regular season, do the road course in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They do it with Charlotte, with the Roval, and obviously the Coke 600.
True.
You could try it with IMS. At least try it for 1 year. See if it works. I don't know how many road courses they want in the playoffs. I don't know if they would want to have the Brickyard 400 be technically the playoffs. So it is kind of a tricky situation, but I'm not opposed to them trying to figure out that idea and try to run with it.
Yeah.
So they restricted Atlanta. Could you ever put a restrictor plate on these guys on the oval, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and make it that kind of tandem draft type of race that we see at Daytona and Talladega? I mean, it would probably slow them down to what? About 145 to 150 miles per hour, but it still might be a better race. Remember, they did
like
this
original test speeds, 145, 150. That's like 1992, 93 test speeds.
I'm pretty sure that they did this with the Xfinity Series at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway back in either 2017 or 2018. They tested out these restrictor plates, and it was a pretty decent race. Now, were they going slow as hell? Yeah, but the racing itself wasn't actually too bad.
So I think the biggest thing that it came down to for even just the IMS Oval was the older car, the Gen 6, and not having enough horsepower, in my opinion.
Yes.
I think that was always the biggest thing for it, because last year I actually because Tyler Reddick was doing like a little fan thing, and I literally asked him, I was like, are you excited to race on the road course or whatever? He said, yeah, because the Cup cars don't really have that much power to go around the oval anyway, so it's not going to be good. So I'd much rather race the road course if we're not going to have a lot of power. So
like
go ahead.
the era when like Casey Mears got the pole and broke the record that year in Cup. You know, those cars were pushing north of 900. I've heard like close to 1,000. They had a ton of horsepower, and I think it just was a better driving track. Like, yeah, you're not gonna get the gimmicky like side by side racing that NASCAR's always trying to fabricate. It was better. It was like, because you would get these monster speeds. I remember they'd show an onboard and they'd be hitting like 216 at the end of the straightaway and then getting on the brakes. That's what they need.
Yep.
I'd like to see this new car, but my main point is, one, to Daniel's point, love that idea. I would just swap it. And if I was IMS, I would try to get that slot with NASCAR and have it be a pivotal championship race. Hell, if we could get have it be the last race, then it would put the importance of like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway back where it belongs. It would put us on that pedestal of like, listen, we're the racing capital of the world here. We should be the championship race in NASCAR, and then it kind of brings it back up just below the Indy 500 in importance. The other thing, 24 is the 30th anniversary of the first inaugural Brickyard 400.
That's true.
So don't hold your breath for next year. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that.
I'll give you it. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think it just comes down to the cars. Like if they go out and test, if they get good results back from the test, maybe I would love to see the cars on the oval again. But if they're not gonna be able to like pass, or they're just gonna run single file around the track, which I mean that's kind of Indianapolis anyway. Like that's kind of like how Indianapolis is. But I just hope they can pass. That's all I can say. I just hope that some point they can pass.
And historically, the oval for the Brickyard 400, I mean, it hasn't been good races, right? I mean, there's always been a guy that pulls away down the stretch or dominates. I mean, like the 95 race, I guess, was exciting because it was a little bit cooler. It was ran later in the day because of the rain delay. But I mean, when you think about the winners, there's normally a guy who dominated, and then people got tired of Jimmy Johnson winning. Then the tire debacle obviously happened. And plus, you look at Tony Stewart won that race, and it kind of everybody forgot the fact that was a crappy race. Like it was boring, and he drove away with the thing because Tony Stewart won, right?
Yeah,
even the
Indiana boy,
Jeff Gordon. Paul Menard, that was a decent race, but again, it was fuel mileage.
Get hard, baby, get hard. Sorry.
His only threw it. And then the last one, with Casey Kane, and it was obviously the one with Casey Kane was just a shit show demolition derby. So I would like to see it go back. But like you said, it's going to have to be proven that, and maybe with this new car, maybe the new car evens it out and you can see some good racing. And I think we'll really learn that this weekend when they go to Pocono, which is a very similar type track and setup to what you see on the oval at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yep. Even one of the turns at
because they haven't tested.
Yeah.
They haven't tested there yet.
Yeah. Even one of the turns at Pocono is modeled after Indy, so
yeah.
So,
and here's another interesting bit. You guys were talking about like all the road courses being added, and with testing limitations, I heard this through the grapevine. There were 2 Australian V8 supercars. You guys already know who was in those testing at IMS?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how similar they drive. So it's like these OG NASCAR guys are honestly having to totally adjust everything that they've ever known about racing on a road course in this car. Races, that tells you right there that if the top team, if Roger Penske is like, well, the data shows that this testing is applicable and we can get some extra time for our boys, we'll throw them in a V8 supercar. This isn't a NASCAR anymore on a road course anyway. It drives obviously like a thoroughbred road course GT car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'll be honest, I kind of don't like it. I kind of don't like that there are that many road courses. I wish NASCAR would find a way to market the old style, kind of like the 90s and 2000s. Like, let's find a way to resurrect some of these ovals and get people excited about it. Atlanta, I think, is a great example. Like, I don't see how you could hate it. Yeah, it's our super speedway race, but it's exciting.
Yeah.
Bring back, like, remember the glory days of Chicagoland?
Yeah.
like fanning way out wide, and like who's gonna go down below the apron and all that good stuff. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I don't watch NASCAR and road courses.
Yeah.
I don't care how good the racing is because I've got Formula One, I've got IndyCar, I've got IMSA. Like, I don't want to watch Cup. It used to be a novelty, like twice a year. You'd be like, what they call it, Infineon back in the day, Sonoma.
Yeah, Infineon, Sonoma.
You have
yeah.
Sonoma and Watkins Glen, and you're like, yeah, let's destroy some cars. Like, let's see Boris Said go like try to fight for a victory. Now it's like, okay. You're not even. It used to be funny because the NASCAR sucked on them. They were terrible, terrible cars on a road course. Now it's like, all right, it's GT
but now
cars,
they race good on it. So it's like, do you change up the formula back to what it used to be, even though now it fits way better? Because they're doing it because F1 is getting so much more popular. So obviously they want to try to have a somewhat similar, comparable product. Obviously, you can't compare F1 and NASCAR. You just can't. I don't care how many people.
Dillner says get him off the bump stops. Dillner just tweeted yesterday. Stops. He was like, get him off the bump stops, get him ride high, like have some travel. That's I think what made NASCAR's entertaining on a road course is now they're so good.
Yeah.
That it's not different than any other. It kind of is like watching GT cars.
Yeah.
But I see. I know they're trying to.
I give NASCAR a lot of credit though, because I mean, it just got so boring. It was like, oh, Atlanta, okay, Harvick or Kyle Busch or Brad Keselowski's going to win. Oh, Charlotte, same race. Oh, Pocono, Michigan, Fontana. Damn, it's like the same cookie cutter tracks every week. And then obviously the pandemic hits. They had to really think outside of the box. They ran some races during the week. And then there you go. There's Harvick. Yeah, and and now they're thinking outside of the box by going to dirt, by going to different road courses, going to some awesome road courses in Road America, Mid-Ohio. Obviously, the Xfinity Series went out to Portland. So I give them a lot of credit for being experimental and trying different things instead of the boring null they got in where every, every June they were going to go to Michigan and they were going to go to, Sonoma, and then they were going to go to New Hampshire. And it was just like, it just seemed like the summer core of NASCAR racing in the mid 2000s into the 2010s was just so boring because it was the same races over and over and over. So I do give them a lot of credit for at least switching it up and saying, hey, yeah, you know what? That second race at Pocono, nobody's watching it. Let's take them to Road America and at least let them beat and bang all over each other.
So
you guys think Kyle Busch is gonna take that RCR seat?
No,
not too far out.
Nah, he said, I seen a thing, he said that he's going to stay with JGR until it's officially announced he's not, so, yeah.
I think he stays with JGR until his brother Kurt Busch retires, and then him and Reddick go over and run for Denny Hamlin's team.
So what do you think?
Yeah, but Truex is leading him in the, it's not real points anymore because it's in playoffs, but anybody else notice that he's being sneaky again?
Yeah, he was real sneaky the other day too, so
Truex for you.
I mean, I thought he had that race won pretty much the entire day till the last 50 laps.
Yeah.
So
okay, we're kind of getting side reeled. We're still in motorsport media. We're still in motorsport media, so let's go ahead and finish. Great conversation, yeah. So sorry guys, but go ahead and finish NASCAR news, Daniel.
Okay, so the last kind of like NASCAR silly season, maybe news, staying with kind of the petty GMS route, Eric Jones still hasn't re-signed. He's still intending to re-sign, but as of now, he's still on track to be a free agent. With both of these cars kind of having an uncertain future, not having a set driver right now, a big name thrown around that I've seen right now is Noah Gragson.
Yeah.
And it's a very drastic turnaround from having two chill, under-the-radar drivers that stay out of trouble for the most part, and then putting a really controversial guy like Gragson, who obviously I think he's earned a cup ride at this point, but he still is kind of that controversial wild card that, I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens with that.
Yeah, you just never know. You never know about Gragson. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a
types
chance
of people you need in NASCAR?
That's true. That is true.
You need a Truex. You need a Gragson.
Yeah, that's true.
You need an old head. and you need a hothead. And then the third one can be a pretty boy, which can be, I don't know, anybody that Hendrick hires. But, like, I don't know. I think he'd be perfect.
Could we see a reunion again with Eric Almirola possibly going over to the Petty team and kind of maybe getting them back on the right foot and maybe being able to mentor a guy like Gregson or keep Eric Jones, who's kind of right there in the battle for a playoff position, even if it's only on a 1 or 2 year type of deal. But you bring a veteran in like Eric Almirola, who might have some money backing behind him, to come back and say, all right, steer the ship for us, see what's going on.
So do you think Almirola goes back on his promise to retire at the end of the season? Because all season he's called
didn't he mention
last season.
Didn't he mention last week that he wasn't taking it off the table just quite yet? He said if there's options out there and he's being talked to, that he would think about it.
Yeah, I guess that is true. They did say that in the broadcast. I remember.
But I'll say this about Eric Almirola. Nice guy. Again, another one of those guys who's had every opportunity in the world to perform in Cup. He's won 2 or 3 races. I think one was a restrictor plate, so I always put an asterisk next to that. That's the type of guy that if he retires, maybe Greg Biffle style, we see him come back in trucks and Xfinity or something along those lines. Him and Tony Stewart obviously have a good relationship, so maybe we do see him in SRX in the future. Okay. They race in Florida, and he is from Florida, but I could see him. I mean, I think Almirola could be a great truck driver. Go that route of Johnny Benson and Ted Musgrave and Todd Bodine, those guys that had every opportunity in Cup to get something down, but just couldn't do it, so they went to Cup and they were dominant.
That's true. I get to.
Sorry, they went to trucks and were dominant.
Yeah. I'm with you. But
all right.
Go ahead,
so
Daniel.
Jay, do we get to the juiciest news of the past week?
I still have F1 news I need to do real quick.
Do you want to do F1 before IndyCar?
Yeah, let's do F1 before IndyCar.
Let's get the easy stuff out.
We're all here for Indy. We all are big IndyCar fans here, so that's gonna be the main talking point of this episode probably. But so this past weekend in the F1 community, we were remembering Jules Bianchi. It's been 7 years since he's been gone, and that's kind of crazy because time's kind of flown since then. But as always, rest in peace to Jules, and he'll always be remembered. Next thing, Honda is considering returning to Formula One in 2026. The reason they're considering is because they were originally going to leave F1, and I think it was Porsche that was kind of in talks with Red Bull. So I don't know if Honda is going to stay with Red Bull or anything. So we're going to see how that's going to turn out. But the reason they're deciding on coming back is because F1's push for a carbon neutral future has prompted Honda to consider returning to the sport in 2026. So very interesting there. I think that was pretty cool. Michael Masi actually left the FIA over this last weekend, or it might have been this last week or something like that. So yeah, that was crazy. That was definitely unexpected. He said that he just wanted to relocate his family closer to Australia, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, so farewell. I guess farewell. But also, one of the bigger news that was coming from F1 over the past weekend, Daniel Ricciardo confirms he will stay at McLaren through the end of 2023. So we're not going to see Alex Polo jump over there.
He confirms he's committed to McLaren for 2023. He never said as a driver.
No, it says he's staying at McLaren for 2023.
But does he say as a driver, though?
Yeah.
It's still vague.
Polo would be practice. Polo would be reserve. He'd be the third.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that. So I'm changing my tune. Let me jump in on this real quick.
Actually, since we're on the topic, let's just go over to the IndyCar news right now. Let's talk.
Are we just cutting to the big news?
Cut to IndyCar right now. Let's just go.
It's all intertwined.
I'll do the one bit of smaller news first. Indy Lights, Kiffin Simpson is going to run for HMD Motorsports next year in Indy Lights. Obviously, he's part of the Chip Ganassi kind of junior program.
Yeah.
So he's going to learn with HMD for a year or two, however long it takes for Chip Ganassi to maybe swing him up.
Yeah, that's a good ride.
Now that we got that out of the way, the biggest news. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of this stuff, and there's a lot to it. But Alex Palou, it was announced he was it was announced that Ganassi was exercising their 2023 option with Alex Palou. Everybody's like, all right, that's good. Few hours pass, Alex Palou comes out on Twitter. No, I'm not. And that quote they used, I did not say that. And I will not be returning to Ganassi Racing for 2023. Everyone's like, all right, that's a little whack. 5 minutes later, if even that, McLaren Racing, not Aero McLaren, the whole McLaren Racing branch as a brand announces that they are bringing on Alex Palou as a driver in 2023. They don't say what motorsport, what series. It is very out in the open, very up to interpretation, but Alex Palou is, I put this in quotes because, again, there's a lot to this, signed to McLaren for 2023. Then people for Ganassi come out and say, no, what we said is true. We exercise his option for 2023. He will be racing for us. So a lot of stuff going on with that. We still don't have full answers because Palou is not saying a word about it. I don't know if he's getting word from Ganassi to not say a word about it. I don't know if he's getting word from McLaren to not say anything about it. It could be both because it is a mess right now and it could potentially go to legal action if it has to. Yeah. It was the McLaren whole, yeah, but that's their whole branch though.
Right.
So
because remember,
didn't come from AMSP.
Because remember
didn't come from AMSP.
Remember the Aero McLaren
Right.
is now under McLaren for sure, like under McLaren now. So remember that.
Yeah, but what's confusing about it is the F1 account tweeted out, but that's what they use as their whole branch.
Okay.
Not just Aero McLaren SP announcing it, saying he signed to McLaren.
Okay.
McLaren said he signed to McLaren, but didn't specify.
Yeah.
And then right before we kind of analyze into this, I'll get into the one little bit that kind of came out recently, which I don't know how big of a deal it's going to be in this whole situation, but it could be theoretically. This is a really weird situation having to do with Alex Palou's YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys have seen anything into this.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I don't get it, but it's weird. So essentially, Alex Palou had a YouTube channel called Alex Palou Racing with about 150,000 subscribers on it. There was some guy, I don't know the name. If we can find his name before we put this out, we'll credit him somehow. But he does a lot of work looking into analytics of kind of motorsports social media stuff. And he discovered that either the domain or the URL of this Alex Palou Racing channel was not originally Alex Palou Racing. And it's theorized that Alex Palou or Chip Ganassi or Alex Palou's team purchased this YouTube channel to then become his channel to almost give him a bigger audience, but it hasn't worked. And what's making it like painfully obvious that it's a little kind of weird, I guess. I don't really know how to word it.
The views.
But he has like no views. Like as a total, they have like under 2,000 views. And so people started pointing this out on social media saying, this is a red flag. There's weird stuff going on with this. We need to look into this. Then the channel gets deleted and is only accessible through the URL. And you can still see that it existed, but there's nothing on it anymore. And so now people are kind of wondering, if this account, now keep in mind, McLaren is a very big brand, and McLaren prides itself on their drivers being very marketable. Is it possible that some sort of factor in McLaren wanting Palou was his marketability, such as a big YouTube following, which might not be real? And so if that was a driving factor, that could put a big red flag in the whole McLaren trying to sign him deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know how big of a deal that's going to be, but there's a lot of layers to the situation. So do we just want to try to break down what we think about it? Because there's a lot to this.
Yeah. Yeah. This is probably going to be the main chunk of the episode because we still got race reviews, but we can do those real quick or whatever. And then predictions. But this is probably going to be the main chunk of the episode here to talk about this. So, Tony, you want to go first? What's your thoughts?
It's just there's so many different layers to this, as you guys mentioned, right? And then all of a sudden, what first stuck out for me was Palou citing personal reasons. And look, I like Alex Palou. We have a great relationship. I've always had great conversations with him. But if these personal issues, how personal are they if you're going to finish out the season and then go and race somewhere else next year, right? If you're citing personal reasons, whether you're a coach in the NBA or whatever, you're pretty much done immediately, right? Like, if there's something going on inside of that team that has upset you personally or somebody's done you wrong, you're not going to finish out the season regardless of how professional you are. So I was a little bit confused about that. But I will say, maybe Polo says, all right, I'm going to run IndyCar and I'm going to be the backup reserve driver and do some testing and practices for McLaren next year. And maybe Chip got wind that, hey, this guy's going to go to McLaren on me. All right, well, I'm going to play chess when they're playing checkers. I'm going to take his contract and I'm going to renew it. And now Zach Brown's going to send me over a monstrous check for the services of Alex Palou in 2023.
That was my take. The personal reasons was he wants to go to F1.
Mm-hmm. Which
he would not be risking the legal trouble or any of this blemish on his handling of anything for just an IndyCar seat at McLaren. A championship seat.
Yeah, I guess
would
that's
not
true.
be doing this. Now, I'm not saying that guarantees that he's not racing at McLaren and IndyCar next year. I'm just saying that there have to be provisions. He would only have done this and pulled the trigger on this if they were like, hey, there's reserve options, there's testing options. He has the super license points necessary. So there's no way if it was just cut and dry, hey, we've got a seat for you over at McLaren. Because guess what? Look at all the promises that McLaren made Pato.
That's true.
And now Colton Herta.
Colton Herta is the one doing them all. So that's true.
And then, as we know, O'Ward got his new deal. So what he signed with Arrow for the next 2 years, I believe. He got that back in May. There's so many dominoes, as Luke and I talked about last week on our show, that are still default. What does this do for Felix Rosenquist? Is he more than likely going to – I could see him winding up in Formula E, but then still giving him a fourth car at the Indianapolis 500, where theoretically you could have Palou, Rossi, Pato O'Ward, and Felix Rosenquist as a four-driver option with a four-car effort. Thanks Montoya for what you did. Take care. There's also a chance that Palou sits out all next year for whatever reason. If it gets into the legal proceedings and Chip says, no, you're not racing IndyCar unless it's for me because I have you under contract. Well, then maybe he has to go and be that Formula E driver and still get the testing for Formula One, while Rosenquist would maybe stay in that 7 car. It'll be interesting to see what plays out. We still got courts that are going to have to, kind of do their jobs and work through that. Then the next domino is, okay, as Luke said, who's going to fill that 10 car, which is a championship caliber car? Is it Rinus VK? Are there other options out there? Could he go get a guy like Christian Lundgaard, who's shown some promise this year? Can they go snag Colin Milot away from Juncos Hollinger Racing, who wants to keep him? And I think we're going to see more cars on the grid next year. I think we're going to see 3 cars at every race from at Carpenter Racing. I think we're going to see Aaron McLaren have 3 full-time cars and a 4th at the Indianapolis 500. And then we'll see with Ganassi. Kanaan proven that he can still get it done. I think Lucas froze there for a minute.
Yeah, he's froze.
Kanaan's proven that he can still get it done. Kanaan is a guy that finished 3rd in the 500 this year, so he's obviously hungry to come back for more. Meyer Shank could possibly go to a 3rd car part-time next year in preparation for running that car full-time in 2024. HMD, look, is there a relationship there where they keep David Malukas, who's been hot over the last couple of weeks and proven that he can qualify well, still has to learn how to finish a race kind of where he's at. But there's just so many dominoes that'll have to fall by the time we get to St. Pete next year, and it's going to be crazy. And then the Ed Carpenter ride opens up if it is Rinus. So still a lot of answers to these questions that we simply just don't know yet.
It is crazy because it's like just this one thing set off a whole butterfly effect of things that are going to happen after this. And it's just like you could go on about the endless possibilities of what's going to happen for the next 2 seasons. So it's this whole situation is just absolutely insane in my opinion.
And I do feel bad for Felix Rosenquist, right? I mean, he jumped ship from Ganassi, goes to McLaren. He just got his first podium with McLaren over the weekend. He had a good 500 run. He's been consistent. He's been more consistent than 80% of the field, but he hasn't been able to make that leap to a contender week in and week out. Now, Mid-Ohio obviously wasn't his fault. It was a good run at Indy. the road course race at the Indy GP, he had a really good run going as well. But he hasn't been able to prove that he is a contender for that podium week in and week out. But he's certainly right there, consistently inside of the top 10. So he's doing a lot more than many drivers that'll have rides next year due to money.
Yeah. No, you're by far not wrong. You are by far not wrong. And I hope, like, kind of what you said earlier, that maybe Polo has to go run Formula E for a season and Rosenquist gets to keep his seat, because I would still love to see Rosenquist in IndyCar. And I don't want to see him just get booked off to Formula E like this, which, I mean, he agreed to it, but I don't want to see Rosenquist just get the boot this quick. So,
Rosenquist is about to get shafted from Ganassi and McLaren both at the same time and in succession.
Yeah.
Like,
possibly by Alex Palou both times.
Yeah. It's weird how this is kind of shaping out.
That's crazy.
I would be, and I'll ask you guys this: either or both. Who is in Indianapolis 500 next year between Alex Palou and Felix Rosenquist? Are they both in the 500? Is only one in the 500? Is there a chance that neither of them are in the 500 for whatever reason? Hey, Chip says if you're going to run IndyCar, you're going to run it for me and me only because I have you under the contract. Or does Zach Brown back up the Brinks truck and say, you know what, we're just going to buy him out, Chip? And then maybe Chip takes that check and goes to Ed Carpenter Racing and says, hey, Renus, here's a check, come on over. Ed takes that check, puts somebody like Ilott in there, or maybe somebody with money in Indy Lights. So, like you said, Jay, you're right. We could sit here all night and talk about what can happen.
Yeah. But I personally think they're both going to be in the 500 next season, in my opinion.
I agree, because they're both talented, have proven they can finish top 5 at the Indianapolis 500. And as crazy and as high level of a competition IndyCar has had over the last couple of years, certainly this year, you don't take that lightly that you have a guy that can, one, finish the 500 and can finish top 5. I mean, Newgarden consistently is not a top 5 finisher in the Indianapolis 500, right? There are so many other drivers that, would kill for the results over the last couple of years that Rosenquist and Palou have had at the 500.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't take that lightly and go, I'm going to put such and such driver in my car, even though Palou, who was second last year and was was one of the best cars this year until some crappy yellow came out and screwed him over, and Rosenquist, who's clearly proven that he can run well at the 500. So, I would be remiss to say that they're both not in the 500 next year. I think they both will be.
Okay. Luke, you got anything to add on? Because I know you kind of had internet issues there during that segment, but you got anything to add on?
I mean, they've had JPM forever. I don't know. Did you guys touch on Juan Pablo and his role in all this for the 500?
Yeah, kind of.
Really.
Kind of. I think Tony said earlier, but I think
we mentioned it, but we didn't really dive into it.
I think the obvious choice would be whatever Palou's role is. I could see McLaren because they've been talking about field expansion in IndyCar in general for a while. I can see McLaren fielding 3 cars. I can see a Polo running a full season with them, at least running the 500 with them for sure. I think you see Polo, Pato, both running the 500 for McLaren. But all my point was, I don't think that he would do this if there wasn't some sort of provisions in this contract for getting seat time in F1.
Yeah, that's
some FP1 and maybe some reserve roles.
That's why I said the personal reasons are F1 in my opinion. That's why I said that.
Yeah, I think so, because he knows that Ganassi can't do anything for him.
To me, like, wanting to go to F1 is not personal reasons. Every driver that's in IndyCar right now probably wants to go to Formula One.
Yeah.
Even Ericsson or Rossi. You're not going to turn that opportunity down. So that's not a personal reason. A personal reason is like, oh, they took money from me, or, these crew guys were talking shit behind my back, or I just, something, right? Like, I just don't get along with Chip. That's a personal issue. Like, wanting to go to Formula One is not a personal issue.
My theory. So this is something I've noticed over the past 2 years. The way Chip Ganassi's program is built is it's centered around one driver always. For the past decade, more than that, it's been Scott Dixon. Scott Dixon has been the guy.
I know
Jay knows what I'm talking about, because I talked about this in our live stream thing that we did a while ago.
Yeah.
Scott Dixon has been the guy. Then, all of a sudden, Alex Palou comes out of nowhere, first year in his contract, wins the championship. So then, Alex Palou is the guy. And while they still have some sort of a spotlight in Dixon, because he's been the guy for so long, they're like, listen, Palou's our guy. We're pushing him out here. He just won the championship. He's our guy. He is the Ganassi guy right now. He does well for the first part of the season. Doesn't win any races, but he's still like top 5 in championship pretty much the whole season. Completely consistent, super good. All of a sudden, Marcus Ericsson comes out of nowhere, wins the 500, becomes the point leader. All of a sudden, Chip Ganassi, Marcus Ericsson, he's our guy. Push him in that spotlight. He's the championship leader. We're giving him all our attention. Yeah, we still got Scott Dixon. We still got Polo. We still got, Jimmy, yeah. But we're pushing Marcus Ericsson all the way up here. He's our guy. I wonder if just the nature of how their system works, where they just focus on one guy constantly. I wonder if that has to do with these personal issues, personal reasons, because Palou just got kind of pulled out of the spotlight, even though he's still, is he 3rd or 4th in the championship right now? Like, he's still running well. And I don't know. I just feel like there's something in the way that team is run that for a guy like Palou, maybe that mindset just doesn't really fit him. And he doesn't like being the guy, and then all of a sudden, nope, you're not the guy, just because your other teammate, he won the biggest race in the world, and he's now our guy. I wonder if that has something to do with it.
I think Chip likes winners, as we know, which is his hashtag. I would say this: you don't get where you're at going on year 32 as an IndyCar owner by favoriting one guy, right? The 10 car struggled for years. Yeah, you're right about that, since Dario Franchitti left. But I think that it shows that Ganassi is putting out 3 championship caliber race cars, and there's only one other team that you can say is doing that, and that's Penske. And I would still probably give Ganassi the nod, knowing he's won the last 2 championships with Palou and Dixon. He's won the Indy 500. Yeah, it was their first Indianapolis 500 wins since 2012 with Dario Franchitti. But I mean, I think Chip's running I think he's doing it the right way, and yeah, you're gonna give a lot of love to the guy who just won, that fresh, the latest one, and you're gonna put that Husky chocolate hat on if you have to, and then flip over that PNC Bank hat, depending on who's winning. But look, Dixon's been the guy. You're right. I mean, and he's earned that. He's deserved that. And I think when you're in that room, and the reason why Chip Ganassi Racing is so good year in and year out is because when you're in that room right now on race day 1 Indianapolis 500, you've got Tony Kanaan, IndyCar champion, Indy 500 winner. Scott Pruitt, who almost won the Indy 500, has won a 500-mile race at Michigan, has been a great driver his entire career. You could technically have Sebastian Bourdais in that room, who's won numerous kart championships. Jimmy Johnson, even though he's in NASCAR, he still knows how to win a championship over a season. Everybody in that room has accomplished something, and now you can add Marcus Ericsson to that mix because he's an Indianapolis 500 winner.
Yeah.
I think it's the grade A quality right now. I think they're a little bit better in the aspect of things than Team Penske. Joseph Newgarden is probably the best pound per pound driver right now. McLaughlin, he's still having some. He's won 2 races, yes, but he's also shown a little bit of sophomore slumpage as well in some races. Indy obviously comes to mind, a few others, and Will Power. Will Power, very consistent to start the season, gets that one at Detroit, but it's been hit or miss the last 4 races for Power. There just hasn't been much consistency. So I don't know if Chip's showing too much favoritism. I think he's happy with everybody knowing, damn, everybody in this room,
it's amazing,
knows how to drive a race car. I'm probably the crappiest race car driver in this room, and I ran 3 500s. So
yeah. No, I agree with that, honestly. I mean, I see Daniel's theory, but I honestly can't agree with that. I mean, yeah, Chip likes winners, so I mean, I don't see, but I mean, I guess maybe I wouldn't see Polo maybe hating that he doesn't have the spotlight, but I do agree with Daniel's point that it could be maybe because things are kind of not getting split evenly somewhere in the background, maybe. So
that is an interesting thing because I talked to one of my friends that works for Penske's organization, and he's new. He's low on the totem pole, but I talked to some of the other data guys that are kind of his elders, and they were like, no, like this kid's got really good judgment. He's really in tune with the team. And he told me how Penske operates is we do not share guys. If you're on the 3 car, you're on the 3 car. It doesn't matter what the 12 car needs. 12 cars got the 12 car. The 3 car guys have got the 3 car. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cross.
You guys figure it out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You guys figure it out. You are on that car for a reason. That is your platoon. Those are your guys. That's your operation.
Yeah.
Having said that, in regards to Ganassi, just from what I've seen, they're much more organic. It's much more, these guys need this. You'll see all different color shirts and all the different pit boxes. And I'm not, you won't see a few Penske guys mingle or drop some parts off, but for the most part, the garages are separate. Is that something where I think it could, a personal reason to Tony, what Tony's alluding to, and what Daniel's saying is, does he feel like, whether it's justified or not, he's not getting enough attention, enough resources as the defending champion? Does he feel like, hey, I'm number 1 here now. I'm the defending champion. I should be getting more attention than they're giving to Dixon and Ericsson to help me reclaim this championship? It'd be a tiny bit of an ego thing.
Should we make that meme? Should we make that meme of Chip holding hands with Polo, and then he's looking back at the person walking by, and it's Ericsson. Ericsson has won a lot of races over the last year and is now the Indianapolis 500 champion.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We should make that a meme.
Why not? Why not? Just to stir the pot.
Yeah. No, but like I said, it's just until we know what the personal reason is, I guess we'll never know. So
yeah.
Now look who the attention is back on. Yeah, Ericsson is the defending 500 winner, but Scott Dixon just matched Mario Andretti's record.
Yeah,
exactly.
He got his first win of the season. So now him and Ericsson both have 1 win.
Mm-hmm. Polo doesn't.
Polo
hasn't won yet.
You know what's going to be really funny if it happens? So we're at an oval for 2 races this weekend. If Jimmy wins this season before Polo wins this season,
oh no! Don't say that.
What's gonna happen with that?
Don't say that.
Yeah, I know. I
think it's
been
going
shitting
to
on Jimmy lately. You're right. I just had that thought earlier this week. I was like, Iowa might really suit him.
Yeah.
You think so?
Probably his best chance to win the whole year because it's a power on, power off oval.
I think it drives a little bit too much like a road course, and that's going to screw him up a little bit. I don't think Jimmy.
Maybe.
I don't think Jimmy's. I mean, I think he's going to be a couple steps behind, to be honest. Kind of like he has been. Everybody's going to say, "Oh, Texas." Well, he had a lot of experience at Texas. Beat in a Cup car. So I would be surprised. I would be shocked if Johnson finished in the top 5 in either race this weekend.
I
hope he wins both.
I say the race that he balls out in is got to be race 2. I say that's the one he'll divvy and dive in and do all crazy moves because he'll have race 1 to kind of just coast around, figure it out. Race 2.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's going to be a less violent track than you've seen Gateway. I think he has a better shot here than Gateway. Gateway's a pretty violent cornering track. That's. IndyCars around there. I mean, I think he's in for a whole nother rodeo.
Because at least Iowa has banking, so
yeah. A lot of downshifting and upshifting at Gateway, going down into 1, which is a sweeper, then 2
different corners. Yeah,
3 and 4 are so different than 1 and 2. You kind of get in 1 and 2. You got a downshift, lift a little bit. If you wash high at all, you're basically into the wall. So, we'll see. I think we'll really know what Jimmy Johnson is as an IndyCar driver when we get to the end of next season, when he's had out multiple opportunities at all these tracks, and say, all right, it's not the car because every other Ganassi car has obviously been winning or contending. So that learning curve takes about a year or 2. I mean, McLaughlin had a crap rookie year, and he's been very, I would say, inconsistent this year, despite the fact that he does have 2 wins, but he's been a lot better at those road and street courses the second time around.
Yeah. I mean, he came in the first race and won. So, I mean, I don't know.
And almost won.
And had a solid
Texas too. Yeah. Yep. Almost won Texas too. Is that
He's
all we?
Been second at Texas 2 years in a row.
Yeah. So is that all we got for Motorsport Media, guys? Is that was our big? That was our big segment. All right, so I guess we'll go over here and we'll talk about some race reviews. I'll start off with NASCAR at Loudon. Or New Hampshire, whatever you want to call it.
Didn't we already review this? Didn't we say that we all about fell asleep?
I mean, sure. Sure, but I guess. Do we want to talk about it?
We'll give at least bullet points.
Okay.
Bullet points.
So, Martin Truex Jr. Yeah, Martin Truex Jr. dominates. He won stage 1 and 2. I guess Brad Keselowski and Austin Dillon get into a little shoving fight on the track with their cars. That was pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys watched the race at all, Tony.
I saw
Luke,
that.
if you guys have any input on that.
Isn't that kind of what NASCAR's wanted? I mean, it's basically WWE wheels, so it was entertainment. So I don't. You know, the whole have attaboys mentality. I think and you can do that in a stock car, right? You can beat and bang all over it or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Brad doesn't care; he owns the car. Austin doesn't care because Grandpa owns the car.
That's true.
Hey, it gives him content for his TV show that's going to be so successful.
Yeah.
Isn't that a spin-off of the crappy one I did with the wives on CMT? Wasn't this originally like NASCAR wives? Shit.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it was on CMT.
Why him, man? I'm sorry.
Of all people,
his wife
like fake. It's like fake NASCAR. Like this isn't real. Oh my god!
All the big names are actually busy because they're winning. So if you think about it, he's not bad. He's just not like great. He's just kind of there. He's a middle of the pack guy that has decent name recognition, but like
that happened to win the Daytona 500
and the Coke 600.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it just seems like there are guys out there that would better personify what a NASCAR driver is.
That's true.
Bring Rusty Wallace back.
He does Goodyear commercials Skechers commercials for Goodyear. Yeah, that's funny.
I don't know. I know it's a whole Mickey Mouse thing, but at this point, I don't feel like Chase Elliott is really the Mickey Mouse guy anymore. I feel like Chase Elliott is like a kind of
he's bona fide.
Type
yeah, he's
guy.
bona fide. Yeah,
he's bona fide. I know he's doing the whole fake like mustache thing, but whatever. He's more like I'll never get over Austin Dillon's NASCAR ad. I don't know who wrote it and who approved of him saying it, but it was like year 2 or 3. There was this NASCAR ad that ran for a whole season a couple years ago, and he's like, "Well, I guess somebody's got to wear the black hat." Get out of here! Oh yeah, you're the new Dale Earnhardt. Shut your
mouth, bro. He said, but
he's got a lot better than Ty though.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Just he's not the villain. He'll never be the villain. He's not anything. Like
who is NASCAR's villain? Like
Kyle Busch. Noah Gragson.
I mean that guy. I mean he's a champion of the sport.
The thing, you can't be a villain if you're not a champion and you're not winning. Because it doesn't matter.
You can't be a villain sponsored by M&M's, even though they're pulling out at the end of the year.
Well,
I mean, like you could say Denny's a villain.
He's a menace.
Kevin Harvick, you can say Kevin Harvick after his run-in with Chase Elliott last year. That's what kind of earned him.
I think it's Logano.
You think Logano?
He's looked at as a silver spoon guy. The Joe Gibbs pretty much just walked his way right up to NASCAR. Had a couple good runs in that 20 car, then went to Penske and obviously has had success there. But God, there's nothing that makes me turn NASCAR off than when Joey Logano wins a race.
You know who's about to be. I think everyone's trying.
Ross Chastain.
Ross Chastain,
yeah, Ross Chastain.
What? I'm not complaining. Have your villain arc, Ross. Is it getting a little annoying? Yes, but like,
I'll give
right
Ross.
Now he's just a menace. Right now he's just a menace. But if
I'll say this about Ross Chastain though, this is a dude that has at least won in Cup now, and this is the guy that remembered 5 or 6 years ago was running for that like JD Motorsports number 4 Flex Seal car that had no business being inside of the top 10, and he took what he could get and he moved himself up. It's very similar to Alex Bowman. You remember Alex Bowman had pretty much both feet outside of leaving NASCAR because he wasn't doing much. Remember, he was in that number 7.
Yanked.
Yeah, he was in that number 7 car that didn't have sponsorship, and now he's found like a second life. So I at least give Ross Chastain some credit in that department.
I mean, honestly, if you think about it, Ross Chastain I'm not saying this is like completely comparable based on like driving styles or anything. Ross Chastain is having like some sort of a NASCAR equivalent to what Alex Palou had last year in IndyCar, where he comes up to a bigger team and all of a sudden just is excelling and looking way better than you thought he was going to.
Yeah. And Daniel Suarez for that same matter.
Yeah.
But even he like had a year under a belt in the team, and it's not the same team, different car. They had the merger with Chip Ganassi, so very different situations. But
we would all be winning races if we had Pitbull to give us a motivational speech before every race.
Mr. Worldwide.
Dude, I'm just imagining like you're in the last few laps of a race and you're like top 3, and you're just like Pitbull, what do I do? And he just gets on the thing and just goes, Mr. Worldwide 305, Dolly, get this. So I would just, you get a speed boost. I don't know. I think you just automatically win at that point.
You have to win. No, you have to win at that point. If you don't win,
for the Pitbull, man.
Yeah, that's funny.
Gotta do it for the 305 Mr. Worldwide.
Trying to be the new villain.
Yes.
I don't know if he's trying. He's just like not correcting his mistakes.
Yeah.
The only thing that doesn't make him the villain, though.
I think he lucked into becoming the villain, and now he's trying to get out of it, but he just can't because everybody hates him now.
Yeah.
You know who didn't learn from their mistakes in NASCAR was Danica Patrick.
Yeah,
that was pretty bad. I won't lie, that was pretty bad.
The thing is that makes Ross Chastain not be able to wear the black hat is when he was like, yeah, you know what? I don't deserve to be in the car anymore. Wasn't that him, or was that somebody else that was wrecking everybody?
No, that was Chastain. That was after Milwaukee, actually. Because it was after Milwaukee, because that's when like he had his first like run in with crashing a bunch of people or whatever, hitting a bunch of people, whatever.
And that's when you stand behind it and say, you know what, that's how I'm racing right now.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Say that you should be benched. What kind of?
I don't know. I mean, I appreciated the apology.
All I'm saying is Austin Dillon will never be the villain.
Yeah.
He's not Dale Sr.'s successor. And no one's been Dale Sr.'s successor. The closest to it was probably Tony Stewart. Maybe Kyle Busch, but Kyle Busch is like Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, nobody ever will be. I didn't really think, not to change subjects, but I thought Toronto was an excellent race. I thought that there was battles about different strategies. I think we kind of missed how great that track is. Obviously, they haven't been there since 2019. Super fast.
We got to see a lot of drivers that experience excel.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
you don't see a lot of nowadays.
There were 14 drivers that had never raced there before, and we saw Colin Eilot struggle at times, even though he qualified well. But again, Christian Lundgaard had a good run. Malukas had another good run. But again, the drivers that finish up towards the front or the drivers that have had experience there or are in championship caliber equipment. And Scott Dixon, the GOAT, gets it done. I was excited to see that. I like Scott Dixon a great deal. And I'm telling you, Luke, I brought this up to Luke last week, and I talked about it on Twitter Spaces. If he gets that win, which I called that he would in Toronto, this dude is, I think everybody's going to say, yeah, Ericsson's right there. And Newgarden. I think it's Newgarden or Dixon for the championship from here.
That is literally my preseason predictions. I have Newgarden winning though.
Well, Newgarden
still have power.
You still have power,
dude. You know what? Yeah. Drama aside, I think Alex Palou is going to win this championship off pure spite. I just think that'd be hilarious.
Just cause.
Third in points, it's still very doable.
Third. I want to see how Chip would do in Victory Circle here over the next couple of weeks or in the championship if Polo does end up getting a win here soon.
I think he'd show up to Victory Lane wearing a Jimmy hat and just be like, dude, what?
He'll just shake his hand and walk away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of top 3 contenders, one of the top 3 drivers, according to him, got 4th at Toronto. Graham Rahal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Graham Rahal.
And Jay, you know what I'm going to say about that? You know what I'm going to say?
Yeah.
Consistency.
He's IndyCar's Eric Almirola. We've always said that.
I mean, all year, if you want to look at the results, it's been Christian Lundgaard has been probably the most consistent and better driver. Graham has had some crap luck.
And Lundgaard was what, 7th? He was like 7th or something.
He was Lundgaard finished 8th. His best career finish. He's leading the rookie standings. My thing with Graham, you're right, Daniel, is like consistency. Show that God, even if you have a bad day, your bad day should be 10th or 12th. we've seen a lot of things go wrong. Obviously, he had a real crappy Detroit. He keeps telling us that he's this awesome driver and this team's right there and this team, we just need luck. Well, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So you've had opportunities. I know fourth felt like a win for you. Now you got to go to Iowa, which there is some pressure on Rahal this weekend to perform at Hy-Vee's big track. That Hy-Vee has signed a monstrous check to have Jack Harvey in that car, to have this doubleheader weekend, to have these huge concerts and bring things back to Iowa. There was a major pressure on, I think, Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing this weekend. And don't be surprised. I mean, I like Jack Harvey a great deal and don't know his contract situation. But, if you're Hy-Vee, you're going, we're paying a shit ton of money to this team. And I don't even know if Jack's cracked the top 10. And I like Jack a great deal. He's one of my favorites, but
he's dope. But he hasn't
been there. He has not been there whatsoever at any race at any point this season.
Yep.
Dude, I gotta wonder at what point is Hy-Vee internally thinking we could have sponsored Lundgaard and not Harvey, because if you look at the season,
I'll give you this.
At what point is Hy-Vee thinking we could have sponsored a different team?
That too.
Well, I mean, that aside, and it was told to me, and I'm telling you this was going to happen, Hy-Vee wanted an American in that car. Graham said, I want Jack Harvey as a teammate. I want Jack over here. They knew Sato was leaving, whatever reason that was. And they said, okay. And then Lundgaard impressed so much and had a lot of money to come to that seat that they had to go to Hy-Vee and say, look, we've got Graham wants Jack, so that's on Graham right there. As a future team owner, that's on Graham.
Yeah.
Lundgaard has been impressive. Lundgaard is a fast driver to go into that 30. Basically, the 30 is what the 45 was. That 30 is the third car. The 45 is the second car. And Harvey just absolutely has not, bottom line, been able to get it done. So at one point, do you say, man, remember that guy Santino Ferrucci who hopped in at Texas on last second notice and ended up finishing in the top 10? What about that Ferrucci guy that was up front in the Indianapolis 500 this year in his second Dry and Reinbold car? What about that Ferrucci guy who we really liked and sponsored last year and had some great runs for us? Why don't we go and get him and get an exciting American in our race car?
And fun fact, Santino Ferrucci has only run 2 races this year, and he's only 5 points behind the person in last of the full-time drivers.
A top 10
really
and then
good.
Top 10
he's
and then
really good.
Yeah.
And whether you like his personality, whether you like his driving style, you have to admit he's a
good driver. He's a good driver.
Also, Hy-Vee needs to bring back the Mountain Dew livery and the Chester Cheetah livery. What is this flat black? Dude.
Yes.
Everyone was so hyped about the other ones.
No, that car is awesome. First of all, with the matte black. Second of all, yes, it's
just because it's always a 19th that it doesn't look awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get you get a little dirty back there. But yes, when I go to Iowa this weekend, I'm definitely gonna have to hit up a Hy-Vee and at least hope. Maybe they've put that stuff on clearance knowing that maybe Jack won't be back next year, so I can get a koozie for $2.
That's fair. Because I feel like as much as we make fun of Jimmy, and him getting full sponsorship to just be not that great overall, Carvana is getting good investment, because how much TV time do they get for each race?
Shoot.
A lot. Harvey's not wrecking. He's just not running well. So, at that point, it's like, dude, if you're going to be bad, be bad. Just be horrifically bad. At least we get TV time.
No, that's true. It's still it's Jimmy Johnson. But you know what? I've been thinking this for a while. Have you noticed that they are just done talking about Jimmy in the broadcast?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they only mention him if he does something. Yeah, they only mention him if he does something. Not an official
weekend until Jimmy or Dalton Kellett bring out a yellow or a red.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hopefully he can do something, but it's like, dude,
is it Jimmy Johnson who's
brought stuff?
Johnson's brought out 9 red flags and Kellett's brought out 5. Is that the number?
I think it was just yellows, but
people need to recognize how difficult IndyCar is. Is this elite of a level that somebody with Jimmy Johnson's prowess and his career statistics can barely hang on? I mean,
I would say road course racing.
He's consistently last of all the cars left running if he's running.
I would say road and street courses. Now, these Formula One guys have obviously came over and proven that they can kick ass in the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
But
I'm
definitely
just saying, like NASCAR comparison.
Yeah,
at least NASCAR comparison. And you know what? We already know that F1 has their eye on us because we've got F1 prospects racing full time in the field, like Tony and I talked about in our last show, in the Toronto preview. I mean, if you're looking at, you've got 3 Formula One prospects right now, possibly 4 if you look at Grosjean going back and being like the shepherd driver, the older driver for Andretti's team. So like, talent pool is there, and NASCAR fans, I mean, you might as well. You guys are going half road courses anyway. You might as well start watching IndyCar.
Yep. At this point,
they hit just as much anyway. They got fenders on the sides.
I mean,
I'm watching Albert Pujols hit a bunch of home runs. He's been in the league longer than Jay and Daniel have been alive.
I mean, in my opinion, though, I think there's not been a bad IndyCar race this season. Like, there's not been a mid.
Yeah.
Every race has been great, in my opinion, or good or great, whatever.
It's
you
been
want to
at
rank
least like fine.
Yeah.
I think they had one race where it was like maybe like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, but anything.
I think Detroit was probably the one because I think Power led 55 with the 70 laps, and basically from lap 12 on, he was dominant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of battles. Those street courses are so tough, as we saw at Toronto. It's just so the margin of error is just it's just that close, right? I mean, you make one step wrong, or you Felix Rosenquist sit and dive bomb, and then you get on the throttle and steps out on you, and then throws Rossi into the wall. I mean, that can happen at any turn. So I'm excited for Iowa, man. I think it's going to be 2 awesome races this weekend. Oh, yeah. Especially, I mean, both races are going to be in the heat of the days, projected to be 93 and 91. So those tires are going to have massive drop-offs.
It's going to be a big strategy race.
and it always is a big strategy race. And it always seems like late in the race, it's been a long green flag run, and there's like 6 or 7 guys left on the lead lap. And then a yellow comes out, and some guys say, okay, are we going to come in and try to be on 4 tires and rocket ship our way to the lead, or are we going to stay out and try to battle these things out? So I think we're going to see 2 awesome races coming up this weekend in Iowa.
And with that being
there's
said,
going to be contact. It's going to be physical.
Yeah. And well, with that being said, let's use that as a transition point. Let's go over to some race predictions for this weekend. Also, congrats to Christopher Bell, Scott Dixon for both winning, and Tony Stewart for winning in SRX as well. So, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to get into race predictions. It's not going to be pulled up on the screen for anybody watching the YouTube view. So, but Tristan has Zane Smith as his Camping World Truck Series, Pick Gregson as his Xfinity, Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace as his Cup, Stingray as his Indy Lights, Romain Grosjean and Scott Dixon as IndyCar Series, Arenas VK and Takuma Sato for Race 2, Ryan Blaney for SRX, and then for his podium for F1, he has Verstappen, Perez, and Hamilton. So
are we picking 2 drivers for each IndyCar race? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. So for IndyCar and Cup, we do like a main pick and then a wild card, but it doesn't have to be a wild card. We just call it the wild card.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah.
Like dark horse.
Yeah. So it can be a dark horse, or I feel like recently we've just been putting people that probably should be winning but just haven't. It can basically just be a second pick. It can be a wild card if you want. I tend to try and make mine wild cards.
Yeah. So remember, guys, though. Last week, Daniel kicked my butt. I got 1. Daniel got 2. It's 14. Daniel has 14. I have 10. Tristan has 6.
I was on a really slow streak. And I finally picked it up.
Yeah, you got back to it. You got 2 of them with your Tony Stewart pick and Christopher Bell as your underdog last week, and I had Christopher Bell as my main pick last week. So we each got points last week. Tristan did not. So
the 12-year-old himself, Christopher Bell, winning a race.
Yeah, but okay, guys. So you guys pick 1 driver for the Truck Series. Tony, go first.
I will go with Grant Infinger because I'm racing against him in a go-kart race next Friday.
Okay.
Fair.
Okay.
Let me do a little research here real quick. Okay. So
Daniel,
I'll go last.
Daniel,
go. Okay, so I'm gonna go Ryan Priest for trucks this week.
Okay.
Part-time.
Where are they? Really at Pocono as well?
We're at Pocono.
Yeah, they're at Pocono. Okay. I'm personally gonna go with Christian Eckes.
There you go.
Okay.
Luke, go with like Ben Rhodes or Matt Crafton. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm going Nemechek.
Okay.
Oh, JJ. Okay. All right, Xfinity.
The Toyotas are
Tony.
strong. All right.
Is Xfinity at Pocono too?
Yeah. They're all at Pocono this weekend.
Oh, man. Justin Allgaier is just so boring, and he won last week, so I can't pick him.
Okay.
I mean, I hate to say that. I'm sure he's a great dude. Give me a guy that I actually do like. I'll go Sheldon Creed.
Okay. Sheldon Creed.
You're going to make me change my pick. I don't want to have the same pick. I was going to go Sheldon Creed just because I feel like it's coming. He's had a slow season for the most part. You know what? Give me Austin Hill as teammate. I think he's my pick for the championship.
Okay.
Is Austin Hill overweight? When he won the other day, I was like, what the hell, man?
I don't know. I don't know. I've never really paid attention to, like, I guess his physique or anything.
He's kind of got that dad bod, I guess.
Definitely has dad bod.
Yeah. My pick for this weekend is going to be Josh Berry.
There you go.
And then Luke.
Okay.
I mean, you can pick the same
picking
person.
him,
You
then
can pick
I'll
the
go-
same person if you want. You don't have to not pick the same
because
person.
it's more fun if I can convince you all day.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna go with my heartfelt favorite. I don't think it's gonna be true, but I'm rooting for Noah.
Gregson.
Like
Okay.
a troublemaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. All right. Cup, Tony.
I think
you get two, so you get one as a normal pick and then one underdog or wild card, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know if these two guys fall in either of those categories, but two guys that are desperate for victories or to at least maintain, that would roll the dice to maintain their spot in the playoffs. I'll go Ryan Blaney or Kevin Harvick.
Okay, Ryan Blaney. Kevin Harvick. Okay, Daniel?
I'm going to be similar because my first pick is William Byron, who doesn't have to win to get in the playoffs, but he's been pretty good all season. He's kind of fallen off a little bit recently, but I think he'll pick it back up. My wild card is Ryan Blaney. I know he's not really a wild card, but he needs to win. He needs to win now because time is running out.
Yeah. Luke, I'm going to let you go because I'm pulling up my preseason predictions right now.
All right, I'm going to go with my pick is going to be Truex just because of his momentum right now. And I think that being the top Toyota, they're going to put a lot into him to, at this point, Toyota needs a championship contender. And my second pick, my wild card, I'm also going to go with Kevin Harvick. The Fords have been struggling, but it's a flat track, and he's always been good at those. 3 Brickyard 400 wins. Yeah.
Okay. So for my first pick, I'm going to go with the man in the field that probably has the most success here. I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin. And then after that, I'm probably going to have to pick, I guess the guy who probably runs really well here as well. So, yeah, I think all of us are going to have Kevin Harvick. No, we're not all going to have Kevin Harvick in some way. Just me, Tony, and Luke. But, yeah, Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin are my 2 picks for this weekend. So,
Okay.
Indy Lights. Indy
good.
Lights. Yeah, Indy Lights.
I'll go with my guy, Christian Rasmussen. He's got a lot of confidence. He's finally got that first Lights win. He was super fast at his IndyCar test at Mid-Ohio last week for Andretti Autosport. Andretti Autosport will be the team to beat in Lights this weekend. I think Hunter McElroy, Stingray Robb, and Matty Brabham will be there as well. But this is a very aggressive track, and that bodes very well for Rasmussen. So give me him to go to Victory Circle on Saturday. Is that early morning? I think it's like 11 o'clock start.
Yeah, I think it's early in the day. Yeah, I don't know, something like that.
Makes sense.
Daniel.
Okay, so I feel like for the most part, a lot of you guys are going to go with Andretti guys. So I'm not going to do that because when we were at Mid-Ohio and they were doing their press conference after the race, they were talking about they were going to Iowa, first oval of the season. And you know what team kicked Andretti's butt on ovals last year? HMD. I'm going Linus Lundqvist.
Okay, that was gonna be my pick, so I'm just gonna go ahead and copy that and paste it in. So,
Luke?
All right, I'm going Matty Brabs, man. I'm going to stay loyal to him.
okay,
I think that he's going to show up on the oval. I think he's got something that nobody's really ready for on this oval. I mean,
Okay.
how many guys in the Indy Lights field have run in the Indy 500?
Yeah,
Sure.
that's true. That's fair.
But that's only led him to 1 win so far this year, and that one is given to him. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I will say I was contemplating saying Ernie Francis Jr. simply because it's an oval.
It's all right.
I know, because the car kind of a backfield, but ovals can sometimes be wild cards.
You better open a window, Daniel, because I think you're high right now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of true because ovals are ovals, and we saw that with Jimmy Johnson at Texas, and with his practice, he couldn't pass, but his practice speeds, he was in the top 3, top 5 every single session at the 500.
Road to Indy is
ovals
terrible for training people for ovals.
It definitely is.
They've lowered how many ovals they do. Ernie Francis has probably done more ovals this year than anybody else.
All right, Daniel, I'll bet you a high V T-shirt and koozie this weekend. You owe me if Ernie Francis finishes 6th or worst. I owe you if he finishes inside of the top 5.
You doing it? You doing it, Daniel?
The field 5 cars?
No, I think it's 12, 11 or 12. So.
I'm contemplated to take it, but because it's not my main pick, I don't think I'm gonna take it. It was something I was thinking about. I wanted to have that as my pick, but
I'll give you top 6.
I don't know.
Take it. He's been
remember
I don't trust it enough.
Remember though, you still got all the Andretti guys, and you got the HMD guys too. So
I know.
Which now consists of Kevin Simpson.
And that itself is What? Is that 8, 9 guys?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't trust my gut on that one enough. As much as I want him to do run well, I can't.
I'll give you spots.
Too much.
I'll give you 1st through 8th.
I just can't. I can't. I don't trust myself enough.
I'll give you every spot except for 11th and 12th.
Screw it. No. I'm not confident enough.
Yeah,
I feel like somebody like a Jack Abel will probably crash out. I don't trust myself. I just can't. I gotta save money for the NASCAR weekend.
All right, offer off the table. Offer is off the table.
Right.
I respect the offer, but I can't go with it.
All right, Tony, race 1 for IndyCar, main pick, wild card or underdog pick.
I think Newgarden is going to win one of these 2 races, if not both. He's just been so damn good there. I've been preaching to Luke all year that the only thing that I know for sure this year is that Newgarden will probably win one of those races. So give me Newgarden and Renus in race 1. Give me Newgarden in race 2 with a surprise finish. I can pick up for both, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's just we're all gonna do this.
Yeah, I think we all were gonna do this.
He has an average finish of 5.6 at this track, and he's run it since 2013, 14.
And I'll go.
I mean, he's got 3 wins.
Can I go Pato Award as well? I mean, this is a guy who people forget has ran 12 oval races and has, I think, top 5s or top 10s in 8 of those races. Has an average finish on ovals of 5.5. So give me Pato Award as well.
All right. Daniel?
Okay. Race 1. There's 3 things that are certain: death, taxes, and Scott Dixon being good on ovals. I'm picking Scott Dixon to go back-to-back races. For my wild card for race 1, I'm gonna go David Malukas. He's been surprisingly
what a fanboy.
Take a surprisingly well.
He said, "What a fanboy."
And I want him to pull through and get. He's been surprisingly well on ovals. You have to give me that, Tony.
Won't finish in the top 10. Should we have another bet?
I can't keep doing these bets. He's a friend of the show. I'm going with him for my wild card for race 1. Race 2. Controversy aside, Alex Palou's getting it done. Wild card, again, good on ovals. Hasn't had a great season. I'm going Elio Castroneves.
Won there before.
Yeah.
I didn't go Newgarden. It felt like too easy fruit to pick.
Yeah. So for my first race, I'm literally gonna trust my preseason predictions on this one. So I have Joseph Newgarden, and then for my underdog wild card, whatever you want to call it, I'm going with Will Power. And then for the second race, I'm going with Scott Dixon. And then my underdog, I can't type. And then for my underdog, I'm going with Pato Award.
Yep.
So those are mine. Luke?
That's good. All right. For race 1, I'm going Alexander Rossi. I'm not even going to put him as an underdog. That's my pick. I think Rossi's got race 1.
I was thinking him too, but yeah.
I think he's going to start shining through. I think his breakthrough is going to be on a short oval. And for my wild card or underdog, I'm going to go I'm going to go with the other Meyer Shank. I'm going to go with Pagano. He's got to win there.
He's had a good season.
He's had a good season. He's been pretty consistent, but also improving throughout.
And under the radar while doing it.
Yeah.
Definitely the quintessential dark horse almost every weekend. Race 2, Garden. And I'm going to go real wild on the wild card. I'm going to say Connor Daly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking it. I was thinking
I
it.
like that.
Carpenter cars have been really good there too. Ed Carpenter could be there as well. He's a guy who's finishing the top 5 and on the podium there.
I didn't even think about the fact that he's running this weekend.
And then Ed Carpenter racing. I think they've got to win 4 top 5s, and I mean they've been on the podium. That 21 car. I mean, hell, if Spencer Piggott and J.R. Hildebrand had podium runs in that second Ed Carpenter racing car at Iowa, so that's why I'm all over Renus and even Connor and Ed as well. You know Ed's going to want to get out there. He's only got 2 races left this season and have a solid finish because he simply just hasn't had those in the first 2 ovals this year. I mean, Texas, he was kind of on the right strategy but faded, and then Indy, he just kept losing spots. Then obviously during the red it stalls and he ends up like 19th. So look for Ed Carpenter to be pretty hungry this weekend as well.
Okay. All right. SRX Tony.
Dave Blaney.
Oh, let's go.
The Buckeye Bullet, baby. Dave Blaney.
The
is
Buckeye
the man.
Bullet.
Give me Dave Blaney to beat his son and to whip everybody this weekend.
Okay. Daniel.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to see if I can find the championship standings up to date.
This is the
Okay,
last race of the season, isn't it? Yeah.
This is the championship. And so I don't know fully how they're shaking up, but I'm going a guy who needs to win if he wants a shot at this championship, and he's been really good all season but hasn't won. I'm going Marco Andretti. He's got 2 straight top 2.
He should have won. He should have won 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But the whole feature. What was that? 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Should have won.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Don't
Luke.
even give me a race that this guy's in that I'm not gonna pick him. Tracy.
Oh God. To do what?
He got knocked around last week. He was running top 3 in that. Oh,
He probably knocked himself around last week, if anything.
Yeah. He probably looked at somebody wrong and then got wrecked.
Yeah.
I'm saying that he's going to be coming through and he's going to be pushing people out of the way because he raced real tame the last time he was running the top, which was 2 races ago. It's out the window. I think he's going to be punting Smoke. I think he's going to be punting Blaney.
I'm going to have to copy Tony on this one and go with Dave Blaney. So, but for F1.
No, is Biffle in this race?
Yeah.
Biffle's full time.
Yeah.
Hunter Ray's in it too, I think.
Yeah, Hunter Ray's in it too.
Yeah, Hunter Ray's in it. Dude, shit. The Biff is strong.
I've tried picking the Biff. It hasn't worked out.
Does fade. That's the problem.
Daniel likes him because he's number 69.
I just like him because as a kid, whenever I would see NASCAR on, I would just really like, that's a funny name, Bayful, and I would just say like that. So I just pick him because he's got a cool name. But
Biffle,
hey, Connor Daly likes that he's number 69. Points it out every race. Yeah. Connor Daly will find a way to point out that Greg Biffle's in the number 69 every single race.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
That's the mullet talking.
Hey, anything you want to add to that?
You said me?
Yeah.
I just like that he's number 69, so.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we got to get going here. Jay's got laundry to do.
Oh, no. We still got one more to pick. We still got F1.
One more.
We still got F1. You said I got You're stupid.
Max Verstappen. He wins.
You got to pick the podium. You picked the podium. You picked the podium.
Max Verstappen on all 3 steps of the podium.
I mean, that's almost a guaranteed point no matter what. So.
That's true. Do you want to do that?
Verstappen and then the 2 Ferrari guys.
Okay. Which one first, Leclerc or Sainz?
Leclerc second, or as they say in Southern Indiana, Leclerc.
Leclerc. Carlos Sainz.
Bold of you to think both Ferraris finished the race.
Yeah.
GP, right?
I've watched like one.
Yeah, French GP.
I'm usually asleep or get put back to sleep while I'm watching.
Are we picking all 3?
Yeah, you picked the podium. You picked the podium. Yeah.
All right. Can I jump? Can I go?
Yeah, go.
Go for it.
All right, we're doing Checo. Leclerc.
Okay.
Verstappen.
Interesting podium. Daniel?
I think Verstappen's going to have a little bit of trouble. He's got to have a troubled race.
Probably. It wouldn't surprise me.
I think so too, which is why he's not on my podium at all.
Big
could
trouble.
be a controversial take. But P1, I got Charles Leclerc. P2, I don't think he's going to win, even though his team has improvements lined up, supposedly going to happen in the next few weeks. I got George Russell, my boy.
You were going to say George Russell.
I don't think he wins yet. I don't think he wins, but I think he gets close. P3, I'm going Checo.
Pedro De La Rosa still run this? No? Okay, that was before you guys talked.
Robert Kubica?
Kubica? Robert Kubica?
No, we're in Indiana. Robert Kubica.
Kubica, my fault. Yeah, we are in Indiana. You're right. So I guess
Mark Webber doing?
I don't even know what he's doing now. Probably running like sports cars, or is he too old for that now?
Oh, that's when you run sports cars, when you're too old to run anything else.
Okay. Yeah, then he's probably doing that then. So but so my podium, I'm gonna go with Sergio Perez. Second, I'm gonna go with Charles Leclerc. Third, I'm going to go with, surprisingly, Lewis Hamilton this season. And then
okay, yeah, that's a good third place bet.
And then we do a group pick, guys. And I'm gonna let you guys pick our group pick this week, Tony. And it's gonna be for the IndyCar.
What race do we want to do it for? IndyCar?
Yeah, we're gonna do IndyCar this weekend. So
do we gotta go with the Indy boy?
I don't know. It's up to them. It's up to them.
We want to go Ed.
As like a group pick? Yeah, let's go Ed.
Ed?
Go
okay.
Ed.
That's bold.
All right. Well, there's our predictions.
Bold, but it's an oval, so.
Yeah.
Bold. You think Bernie Francis is going to be in the top 5? You don't get much bolder than that.
Hey, I didn't say I think it's going to happen.
I'm dead.
I want it to happen.
I'm dead.
I want it to happen.
That's funny. That's funny.
I'm not confident, but I want it to happen.
He said, I'm not confident. I want it. That's funny. Okay, guys.
When's that Penske money going to kick in?
Okay, guys.
I don't know. It's already kicked in for Miles Rowe, and he's winning races, so.
Yeah.
That's true. But, okay, guys. So I think that's going to be it for episode number 28 of the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. Big thank you to Tony Donahue, Luke Edwards for joining us. Anything you guys want to shout out?
Hey, yeah, thanks for having us. Anytime you guys want us on, Luke and I will have a show later on this week, and we just want to say thank you for you guys helping us out through the month of May and throughout the season, and let's go have some fun the remainder of the year. We got a big weekend next weekend with trucks, ARCA, Xfinity Cup, and IndyCar all in town, baby, so let's go have some fun.
Oh, yeah. Daniel?
Yeah, follow Burnout Sports. Follow Burnout Sports on everything, on Twitter especially, Instagram. Follow us on everything.
MySpace. Oh, you guys don't know what MySpace is.
Yeah, we got
I know
MySpace.
what it is. I just didn't have it.
Have you all seen our Vines? Our Vines are pretty lit.
Our Vines? I had a Vine. Have
us on anytime.
Okay, great.
This is fun as hell. We're always happy to come back.
Go listen to my iPod now.
Go listen to my iPod now. Daniel, you got anything to say?
All I want to say is if Ernie Francis somehow runs well, I told you so. Not that I think it's going to, but I want it to.
Jay, awesome. I need you to clip that.
I'm tired of the slander. I'm tired of the slander of it all episode.
That's
one of my bold picks is going out.
Daniel will be asleep in 5 minutes from what he's been spoken.
Fair.
I'm dead. Okay, guys, remember to check us out, Indy Boys Racing Podcast on YouTube, Spotify Podcast, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, wherever you can get it at. Rate us, like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you can. Like, show your grandma or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So,
Grandma.
I'm not used to being. He said, "Yo, grandma." I'm not used to being the main host, so this is kind of new to me. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching episode 28. Signing off for Daniel Chaney. Almost said Tristan Grider, but Tony Donahue, Luke Edwards, Justin Cox.
Gotta wave the flag on the way out.
Yep.
See you, boys. Have a good one.
Yep.